Okay, we're going to talk about the control and maturity model. This is the third model. The control and maturity model is a model that teaches us when to step in and when to step out. It teaches us what consequences to use. It teaches us how much control we should be giving our children and how much control we should be taking. So here is a visual of the model. Now I do have a PDF of this that you can download and use. And if you have older children, it is really interesting and helpful to explain this to them because kids want control. That's what they want. But if they're not mature enough to handle the control, we need to move in and take the control. So problems pop up when children have too much control and when parents don't know that they have the ability to take the control. Like we actually control a lot that we don't realize, especially with older children. More about that later. So a basic explanation is these are your kids down here. They're either in stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3. This is how much control they have. A stage 1 child has very little control. A stage 3 child has a lot of control. And this is the control that the parent takes up above. Stage 1 is like a baby. They have not a lot of control. They are fully dependent. The parent must move in and take all of the control right up until maturity, a teenager, where they have all of the control and the parent has very little control. And the idea of parenting is to do yourself out of a job, right? We want our children to have all of the control. We want to step back and see them mature and not so dependent on us. So most children that I work with, most families I work with, the children are in between here, stage 1 and stage 2. Here is a description of each stage. Stage 1, yelling, tantrums, selfishness, resistance, fighting you every step of the way, not cooperating. Your babies and toddlers on this stage. Stage 2, willing to listen, a lot of negotiating, willing to follow instructions, they are cooperating. And stage 3 is they're using their initiative. You don't really have to remind them. They are making their own lunch. They are tidying their room. You might ask them to put the rubbish out and realize they've already done it. They really are mature. Now, what does this mean? I'm going to add a couple more tutorials that really dive into what this looks like for different scenarios. So this is just a brief introduction, but how you would parent at each stage is this. Children who are not cooperating, we need to use consequences that don't require their cooperation. Now, I have a PDF that explains and offers a list of consequences that don't require cooperation because they're not cooperating. So there's no point in yelling and asking and repeating yourself. They're not cooperating. So you would move in with a consequence that just doesn't require their cooperation. Stage 2, you can use consequences that do require their cooperation. Extra chores, helping them to, apologize or making things better. Maybe they need to repair some damage that they made. They're cooperating. So we would use consequences that require their cooperation. And stage 3, we're really just stepping back and we're praising their leadership. We're praising their initiative, and we're really only stepping in with a little bit of control, and it's more like guidance and consultation rather than consequences. So the overall thing to remember is, what can I control in this situation? Because I see a lot of parents trying to take control over things that they don't control. So think about what can you control in each different scenario. So an example might be for a stage 1 child, let's say they climb up on the table and they're dancing on the table and you say, hop down off the table, please. And they don't. They don't because they're not cooperating. And if you've got a toddler, they don't because they have what's called counter will, which means I'm going to do the opposite of what you want me to do. Again, stage 1. And side note, teenagers can be in stage 1 too. If they're not cooperating, they're in stage 1. So your child's on the table and you realize, okay, they're on stage 1. I need to move in and take control. So you move in and take control. You move in and you hop them off the table. And you will start to get into a bit of a flow of things, and you will realize that there is a lot of moving in and taking control, moving in and taking the toy, moving in and moving them along to the next thing, because you have to physically control them a lot of the time when they're in this stage. Now, Another example of stage 1 is when they are banging their spoon on the table. I love this example because I deal with this a lot. They're banging their spoon and you say, please stop banging your spoon. And they don't because they're on stage 1. So you move in and you take the spoon. So that's just a little bit of an example of how you would use it. I will see you in the next video where we will go a little bit more deeper into these stages.